I don't pretend to be any expert, but I will say that I have definitely done spiritual war. For years, there was dark magic being cast over me and poison, like graveyard dirt and stuff, being put into my food and drink by my older children and my husband. And I didn't realize the why because I was a Christian then and I would have believed the Bible very dogmatically. And so I wasn't wrong to believe that I was fighting a demon, but it's just a little different than like my coming out of that bondage really had more to do with myself than prayers to Jesus that never availed to anything. And actually getting out and away from those people who had harmful intentions to me because I am like a protection. They can't truly receive their karma. They're they're protected by me being near. As long as I'm near, they're not really going to pay for their wrongdoings. And so like gods and goddesses and demons and devils, like it's real. It's not just one devil, but this, I believe, is the God that is truly under the power or the belief system of the Bible. I believe this is the secret worship that's happening in like the Mormon temples or even just anywhere that people are claiming to be Christian. This is what's really going on, which is why these are the people who are, it's not just the religious people, but these are the people who are slaughtering human and, consuming the blood, having sex with the dead. So it talks about here, these are just some screenshots, but it talks about like what's required, even for like a contract. So there's contracts being put out on, if you want to say victims, which are your family members often, and we have to agree. So I agreed for years to suffer because of what the Bible said, to suffer for Christ, to die to self. And so, like, freeing myself from the bondage, a lot of it had to do with not agreeing anymore. So this stuff can't really have power over me when I don't agree. There's still an onslaught of like psychic attacks, but you can learn how to free yourself from that by tapping into your own magical abilities, which I believe can be done many ways. I'm just naturally magical, but I would have avoided all magic because of what once again, the Bible said that, magic is something that you should avoid, but that's not true. But there is good magic and bad magic, or, I think it all comes down to our intent. Are we looking to like take advantage or harm someone, or are we protecting ourselves? And not just protecting ourselves, also manifesting good things for ourselves. But it all comes down to intent. I have never sought out items to like, I've had like a salt bath or something, if that would be considered magic. I guess that is magic in a way, because I've selected certain things and had a bath, and my intent was to more of a like cleansing away people that were attached to me, or certain plots and plans that they had for me. So I guess that's magic in a way, okay? But like, I've never, some of these people are, the things that are required for their magic rituals include, like I said, human blood, human sacrifice, or animal sacrifice, which they're using human, necromancy, like sex with the dead, and all kinds of just horrible, very inhumane things. There's also this god has to do with like a lust demon, if you will. Like he is one, he has minions, you know. I believe I did have a lust attachment, especially in my teenage years, and all of that was kind of orchestrated by my parents trafficking me and selling me out as an infant and sending people who are part of this blood cult to me. Basically, every boyfriend or date I ever had were part of this and being sent to me to like siphon my sacral energy by having sex with me or getting close to me in those kind of ways. This is the real God or power behind the Bible. The Bible believed the way that it says to, which is the way I believed it, is definitely a trap. It's a mental trap, and it will have you giving all of your power away, and then these people are readily taking and siphoning from you. They're using the dark arts, they're casting spells, hexes, they're binding themselves to you, they have contracts out. The contracts are only expire through like death, or they have dates, and the perpetrator is trying to accomplish a certain thing, which is spelled out in the contract. So most of it is financially, finances are their conquest in some way, shape, or form. They're also like, just like, you know, my qualities or all that I am was being siphoned and making them appear to be so much more than what they are, because these are all narcs. So these are people who just, you know, their true self is very like low, like they're not self-aware, you know what I mean? And so they're living, like, if you want to say, vicariously through their victim or victims. And I think that becoming aware of our power to reclaim our voice and remove ourselves from the physical presence of these people, and then tapping into like just, you know, even simple ways of tapping into your own magic. Like I said, setting your intent for whatever that is, taking a bath for like more like cleansing spiritually, you know. But it's really just about intent, whatever you set your intent for. So it can be anything, it can be in your mind. So I've cut cords with many of these people just completely in my mind, and it really works. And I've talked about this in one other video, but one way that I've done it is envisioning myself holding a razor blade, and I will literally slit from like the balls of the man, slit straight up, all the way up to the brain. And this is nothing that I would do I would never like murder anybody or something, but like I am cutting cords. I've also imagined them having like being a puppeteer, which they are, and having like strings dangling my child or me as their puppet, and I've gone and sliced their fingers off with a razor blade. This is all just being envisioned, and this actually has very, very effectively worked to remove binds. And after I remove the binds from my children, my minor children, from their father, which was very hard. I had to keep concentrating, and it was like a battle to do it. So that tells you the battle is real and it's spiritual. And this was all just in my mind, but it was like my mind was fighting to stay concentrating because it was a real battle. So then I talked about this in another video too, but within 24 hours, like I can't remember exactly, but it was like within like less than 24 hours, I was fighting in a dream state with this form, which is another form that's not shown on this. Actually, I will put just a quick picture, but it was like a lady with white hair, like a pretty lady with white hair and a white gown down to the floor. And I just remember thinking how odd that was, that was the spiritual being. Like, that's what it looked like, because I wasn't surprised that I was dealing with a spiritual attack after cutting the bind between my false husband and their dad, who has been abusing them in many ways and tapping into their resources, especially while he can't have me ever again. So also there are people in these groups that, maybe are unaware that they are worshiping this, and maybe they are just, their intent is to like get rich. They just really, really, they just love money. Now, money isn't wrong and things are not wrong, and we don't need to live like a pauper. But when we have greed for money more than like truth or love, this is the God we're worshiping, okay? And also with lust, like sex is great. I love sex, okay? It's not cool. It's not okay to obviously rape or, molest, necromancy, sex with the dead. I don't think any of those things are okay. But sex in itself is a good thing. When you get into these polyamorous relationships, I think you're really degrading yourself. I don't think that you can be high vibing and be in your North Node and be practicing orgies of any kind, even if it's with consensual adults. And I know we live in a day and age where everyone wants to say that nothing is really right or wrong, but that's actually bullshit. So I think there are people who are attached to this devil and or some of its minions through lust, and they're giving themselves over to sexual fantasies, like they're having orgies or having sex with like lots of people. They're rich and famous, they're just in this whole like mindset, and they can live that way if they choose, but they're only going to stay in their south node. They're never going to evolve. That's what true evolving is. It's not about that we ever came from apes. It's more like in your mind. They're never going to have that true enlightenment and become all that they're destined for. So like maybe if you're like, let's say you're dating or married to someone who's using you and siphoning from you, and you're not aware of that, so they've got you in that way. Even if you are also a dark practitioner and into the dark arts, you could be somebody who's destined to be like in your North Node and have like real purpose and destiny, but you're not going to ever evolve to that if you settle for just being rich and just enjoying orgies, and you're being tricked that the person you're married to or in a relationship with, you think that they're like on your level. Well, they've brought you down to their level, so you are on the same level, but maybe you have a naturally higher level to attain to, but they don't. It's almost like you're a main character and they're not, but they have you living as if you're not, and so then you never walk in your purpose. These are the things that I think about this.